All right, guys, we've got to talk about the Starchild skull. Not just this one, but multiple others. And as you will see through the course of this video, hopefully, a new race of alien being here on Earth will be revealed. What is the Starchild skull? Well, it was a skull found in Mexico. It looks like it's about 900 years old. It's very weird looking. If you go on Wikipedia or, most mainstream sites, you'll get the, mainstream debunking of the Starchild skull as simply a human with genetic deformities. But I will let Lloyd Pye explain why that's not the case.
The skull was a human that suffered an extreme illness or deformity. Other experts discount that because they, unlike most critics, actually examine the skull. Those hands-on experts overwhelmingly agree the Starchild is completely unique and it does not fit the known profiles for any genetic variation or congenital defect.
Okay, so it's not caused by a genetic defect. Of course, that was the debunking that Gary Nolan publicly used for the Atacama specimen. Privately, he was saying it was non-human. And now we have, 2 or 3 other examples of beings that are extremely similar to the Atacama being, seeming to indicate that we're dealing with a race of being here. And of course, I'm talking about the little body that was found in Mexico. I'm talking about this guy, also known as Adam. And if you haven't seen the separate video I made talking about Adam, definitely check that out. I'm also talking about Alyoshinka in Russia, shockingly similar to the Atacama specimen. So as you will see, the same is true for the Starchild skull, debunked by mainstream science as a genetic deformity. And yet, people that have actually looked at it say, no, that's not the case. And also, there are multiple examples. I was watching this excellent presentation by Jerry Wills, where he describes his experiences with a being that might be a Pleiadian, not just a Pleiadian, but a Pleiadian time traveler. And there's actually not just one Pleiadian, but there's multiple that he had interacted with over several years. Really interesting account, and I may be talking more about this later. It's really good stuff in there, and he goes into describing how different UFOs have different lights for different reasons, why there are different colored lights. There's some really interesting information in here. But at the end of the presentation, he takes questions from the audience, and guess who asked him a question? Well, Brian Forster. That's right, the same Brian Forster who has studied the Paracas skulls. Well, it turns out he and Jerry are colleagues, and they worked together before. And Brian asked him a really interesting question that goes in an interesting direction.
Jerry, Brian Forster, I was in an interview with you and Lloyd Pye.
Hello, Brian.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Good to finally meet you.
It's a pleasure.
I was wondering what your thoughts are. Since Lloyd died, almost nothing has been done with the Starchild skull. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about its authenticity.
Well, I would like to find out myself, just as you and I have discussed in the past. What was that, Red Ice Radio, I think we were on, while we were in Peru. No, I think there's something to it. And interestingly enough, Brian, I've in our travels in the distant parts of the Andes, we've run into at least 2 other ones just like it. But because our policy is not to touch anything, disturb anything, leave it for the archaeologists, the authorities, we just left it there. And these things, you probably run into this. You run into something, and it's like you're right in the middle of things, and the picture isn't even taken. But we have run into it. And actually, I did get a picture of one of them. Well, anyway, I'm curious as well. There's something strange there.
Okay, so they found multiple others, at least 2 others. Brian says he actually has one in his museum. So the Starchild is not alone. There are other examples of this. It's frustrating that they didn't, actually take these to the authorities or, put them in a museum, have them studied in some way, and corroborate that they are indeed very, very similar to the Starchild skull that we know about. But guess what? There are others. Where do we find them? Well, of course, we find them with the Nazca mummies. It all comes back to the Nazca mummies, guys. Boogosphere is related. Somehow the Starchild, skulls are related. The Virginia beings has a connection to the Nazca mummies. But yeah, check this out. There's at least 2 skulls that were found in the treasure trove of artifacts and specimens taken from the site where the Nazca mummies were found, the Citadel, as we call it. I mean, we haven't been there. We don't know. We don't have no confirmation if it's Citadel-like or not, if it corresponds to those images or not, those videos. But yeah, check it out. Starchild skull. It's got the same round, eyes and the same big mushroom head, and that is not the only one. There's another one right here. Same kind of thing. And it says it's 800 years, which is very close in age to the Starchild skull that we know about. That's 900 years old. So it was super fascinating. Let's see, what was the other one? Was that also in that? Yeah. And who knows what that is? That's another weird skull found in the treasure trove of the Nazca mummies. But yeah, this one, the first one we saw was 800 years old. Both of them 800 years old. I don't think there's anything else to learn from here. But okay, so super fascinating that Jerry Wills and Brian Forster were talking about seeing 2 or even 3 others, if you include the one in the museum, if that's a separate one, and it may not be, but at least 2 other Starchild skulls. Then we have 2 that, as you can see, are basically a lock for the Starchild skull that we know about. And again, here it is for reference. The ones that we saw in those from the Nazca treasure trove, to me, look smaller. So we might be dealing with juveniles of the same species, but it's the same round sockets, the same big mushroom head, the same species from all appearances. So we see it. So adding it all together, we have at least 5 examples, at least, of the Starchild species, if we can call it that, which is fascinating. We've got bodies, y'all, and they're not all the Nazca mummies that we know about. Although I guess you could say that these are, in a way, the Nazca mummies, since 2 of them were found with the Nazca mummies. And we have, at least 3 examples of the Atacama being. We also, of course, have multiple examples of the little Nazca mummies that we all know and love. So we have multiple cases where we have these small humanoid bodies, some of them seeming to still be around, at least in the case of the little Nazca beings. Those still seem to be around. People see them coming and going from caves. There was, a dead one found seemingly in Siberia, and we have, a video of that corpse. So some of these guys are still with us, seemingly. Is the Starchild species, if we can call it that, still with us today? I would love to know what is their connection to UFOs, if any. I assume they do have a connection. If the beings, that were, the Nazca mummy beings, if those were indeed hybrid beings created by some race, the same race that is still creating hybrids today and still putting implants in people today, which is what happened with the Nazca mummies, then were these star children, I don't know, can we call it that, were they created by that same race? Are they hybrids created by that same race? Could the same be said to be true for the Atacama beings? I don't know, but we need to find out. We need to take these bodies seriously. We need to do a lot more investigation on this. You can see Brian Forster's, frustration, after Lloyd Pye died, who is the gentleman holding the skull right here. After he died, not much was done with the Starchild skull. Well, why not? Where is mainstream science on this? Well, I guess they're too busy suppressing this to study this. But we are independent researchers. We need to galvanize them to research these very important specimens. We've got bodies, y'all. That is a serious thing. We've got non-human bodies. Maybe they have some human DNA, but they are not strictly human. they are, by all appearances, from the DNA that we've been able to study so far with the Nazca mummies, they are hybrid beings, which is beyond fascinating because it, obviously indicates a creator. And for those who think that the Nazca mummies may have evolved naturally, well, just consider that not only do we have a range in size from, like 1.5 feet tall to 9 feet or more tall, but we also have a range in reproductive modalities. Some being egg-laying, some would have given a live birth, but all tridactyl and all obviously related. You don't get that with natural evolution. So I think the same is very likely true for the Starchild skull or the Starchild species, as well as the Atacama species, potentially the Virginia beings. Maybe that's what it was doing aboard that UFO that crashed in Virginia. Maybe its creators plucked it up to do put in an implant on it or something like that. Who knows? Who knows, guys? But we should know, and we should have more people interested in finding out. But there you go. I think a new alien species has been revealed. We now seem to have at least 5 cases of the Starchild skull non-human species. So let me know what you think. Comments below, like and subscribe, hit the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you want to support the channel in a bigger way, consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below. Become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars. And I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Meanwhile, plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.